I used to need a swear jar when I hung wallpaper, but fortunately I don't anymore, and hopefully neither will you, especially after I show you what my top 5 tips are for hanging removable peel and stick wallpaper. And I want to welcome you to the YouTube channel for Revive Heart and Home. I'm Heidi, and it is my goal here at Revive to educate and inspire you to decorate your home in both eco-friendly and budget-friendly ways. So grab a pen and paper and let's get hanging. Okay, so tip number 1 is to make sure, like everything else in the DIY life, is to make sure that you prep your walls and your project first. So as you can see behind me, I have a painted wall and the wall that I have already wallpapered. Okay, so the wall behind me used to have not 1 but 2 layers of wallpaper. So I had to remove that first, and I removed it with a steamer, and I've left a link to my favorite wallpaper remover below, as well as supplies for the rest of this tutorial. One thing you should know about peel and stick removable wallpaper is that it won't stick to old wallpaper, so you can't wallpaper over old wallpaper, drywall that hasn't been painted, freshly painted drywall, plaster, concrete, and a handful of other materials. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so remove anything that you have. And one of the mistakes that I thought I could do was remove the wallpaper, and it left the paper part, not the pretty part, but the grainy, hairy part of the wallpaper still on. And I was like, I just don't really want to remove it because that's going to be another layer of the whole surface. But if you don't, this wallpaper, when you peel it off and you put it on that the hairy back part of the traditional wallpaper, it will pick up all of those fibers and then it won't stick again. I can't emphasize enough that you need to make sure your walls are clean, and I would clean them with TSP, make sure they're free from any wallpaper or debris, and make sure that your drywall is painted and spackled and any holes are filled in or scratches or anything like that, so you have a smooth surface to apply your wallpaper. Okay, step 2 is to do math. Remember all those things in high school that you didn't think you need? Math, yeah. Anyway, I'm kidding. So the key to a beautiful paper wallpaper job, whether it's peel and stick or traditional wallpaper, is to measure. And the first measuring you are going to need to do is to take a measurement of the room that you're going to wallpaper, and that's the height of the walls and the width of the walls. And you will want to take those measurements so you know how much wallpaper to order. Now, it's not just as simple as, it usually isn't just as simple as ordering the same amount of square footage as your room, because wallpaper often has a repeat pattern and you don't want to mismatch that. So for instance, if I lined it up just the way, you know, and I lined it here and then just continued the roll, it would look like this. And you see how the pattern here doesn't match the pattern here. That's going to make for an ugly wallpaper job. So the repeat is basically how often does one image repeat. So like this big emblem here repeats, let's just take this point with a point here, repeats way up there, and it's about, I would say, 24 inches between those 2 markers. Now, when you order wallpaper, it should say how many inches are in between each repeat. Now, I know it can seem like calculating how much wallpaper you are based on the repeat is a little wonky and it's going to be hard. It actually isn't, because there are calculators for this thing. So in the description below, I've put a link to my favorite wallpaper calculator. All you have to do is input the width of your room, the height of your room, and then the repeat pattern, and it will ask you how many feet are in each roll, and you push calculate, and it will tell you how many rolls of toilet paper, how many rolls of wallpaper you need. I'm in the bathroom, so I guess that was appropriate comment. And if it is close to being, I always like to add about 10% more, or I just don't take off, I don't minus or subtract out room for the doors of the windows to give me a little extra wiggle room in case I mess up. The next thing you're going to measure once you have your wallpaper and it's mailed to you or you pick it up is to figure out where to start hanging. Do you start hanging in the corner, in the middle of the room? What's the dealio with that? And the answer to that question is where are you wallpapering? So if it's in a room like this little powder room that I'm doing and you're doing the whole room, I would just recommend starting in one of the corners. However, if you are doing like a feature wall in an entryway or in a bedroom, and maybe that's the only wall that you're going to wallpaper, if you have a pattern like this that has, you know, a distinct piece of it that would look best centered, then you're going to want to start in the center of the room. Now, if you have little like marks and there's no pattern to it, they're just all over the same in all the places, it's not going to matter. So it kind of depends on the pattern of the wallpaper you have. But for something like this, it will matter, and you want this part right here to be in the middle. So if that's the case, you will want to measure from point A to point B, and you can do that obviously with a tape measure, or what I like to do actually is take a string and cut it on either end, fold it in half, and then pull it, find the center point in that string, and then take one end and match it to the corner, and then pull it over, and then find my center point right here. That way you don't even have to calculate or divide or anything like that. So houses, especially older ones that have settled over the years, don't always have perfectly straight walls. So what you want to do is find your center point, and then you're going to draw a line from the top to the bottom of your wall to be a guideline. If you are hanging wallpaper from the corner, you will want to measure the width of your wallpaper minus 1 inch. So this wallpaper is 20 inches wide, and so I measured 19 inches over, because you want there to be a little bit of an overlap on the corner. You don't want it to line up exactly in the corner, because there will inevitably be a gap, and that won't look nice. If you are measuring from a center point in your wall, like I said, find a center point, and then you can buy one of these or you can make it. All you need is a little push pin like this, a string, just got some old ribbon, and some kind of weight, something that's heavy. And you will take that push pin and let's see, push it in where you have the center point, let the weight fall, and that will draw a plumb line down your wall based on gravity. Now, once you have that, I like to take my level, and if you have a level like this that actually has, you know, if I can show, this is a small room here. If it has a level like this, you can use this too. This is actually easiest, but I didn't want to assume that everyone has one of these long ones, and so if you don't, you can use this method. So the other way is to use one of these and find your center point, make sure it's level like that, and then take a pencil and draw all the way down from top to bottom. Okay, tip number 3. Now this one is specifically unique to peel and stick wallpaper. I can't emphasize this enough. Do not pull and stretch on the paper. It is made from vinyl, so it has some give to it. And I know you might be enticed to like hold it up and then kind of pull on it. But when you do, that will make, even by 1/8 of an inch, it will make one side longer than the other. And then when you get to the next roll, your pattern won't line up. And it is a reason for this. So do not pull on it if at all possible. Tip number 4 is to hang it from left to right. So I'm going to demonstrate that for you. So when you pull this off, you're going to pull off about 10 to 12 inches of the backing at a time. But because this isn't very big, I'm just going to pull off the whole thing. So let's just say that you have, already hung this piece. When you take your next piece, you want to take the edges and overlap it about 1/8 of an inch or less. But you don't want to butt it up, exactly to each other, because if you have pulled it at any point or it dries for some reason, it will shrink back and it will leave a gap, and you don't want that, because again, you don't want to use this and have to redo it. So when it's time to hang it, I like to take the top of my section and the bottom of my section and align it with the paper that's already up. Find that placing correctly, and then adhere it to the wall from left to right. So let me demonstrate that. So I'm going to find this area right here, and I'm going to line it up as best I can, but overlap it just a little bit. Let me find it here. Okay, and then go down here, being careful not to pull it, like I mentioned. And then I'm going to push down right here to get it in place. And then I will take this side and I will start to gently smooth it from left to right in the middle, okay? And then go up and then go down. And then once you have it in place, you would take a spreader like this. They sell them on Amazon. Again, link in the description, and you're just gonna go over it like this to get out any bubbles or wrinkles or anything like that. But I don't suggest you do that until you get your whole strip aligned the way that you want to. You can gently tack it into place with your hand until you're absolutely sure, and then I would go over the entire piece with this. Okay, so for your 5th tip is to get a really sharp quality X-Acto knife. Now this is going to be used for all of the detail, trimming the edges, cutting out the holes for your electrical outlets, your switches, all of that good stuff. Because that can be, again, swear jar worthy. What I do is generally, as I approach an area that needs to be cut out, I'll do this. And when approaching the top or the bottom edges that I need to cut, I will take my a straight edge and my X-Acto knife, butt it up against the molding. So, and I use this so my X-Acto knife doesn't slip, because if it slips out of place or off a little bit, it's super sharp and it will cut the wallpaper in places you don't want. So I will just do this and run it along the edge of the straight edge, and then that will give me a nice clean cut for where I want it to end. So I hope those tips were helpful. I think it really is a fabulous option compared to traditional wallpaper. You just have to know how to navigate the nuances of vinyl kind of stretchy wallpaper. And if you do those things and you follow those 5 tips, I can guarantee that you will be happy with your work. So thank you for joining me today. And if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, give it a like and subscribe on the little button so you can check out all of my other great tutorials on everything from furniture painting to crafting and upcycling. So that's all for today, guys. Thanks, and have a great day.